Hey, welcome to the final lesson of Module 2. We've covered a lot, and by now you should have a basic understanding of the main components that go into a van conversion. I know there's a lot to consider, but now you have a really solid foundation where you can dive deeper into the aspects that are most important to you. Once all of the necessary parts of your build are planned, it's time to start thinking about a few additional parts you'd like for making your van life even more enjoyable. We'll get into some of the add-ons you might consider and some things to keep in mind, starting with roof racks. A roof rack needs to be planned out before you install anything on the roof like solar panels and a fan. It will need to work around your panels and your fans or be custom built to do so. So as you're planning your solar installation, you should simultaneously be planning the rack to accommodate your panels. Your van might come with a roof rack, but if it didn't, there are many aftermarket companies that make high quality racks. Aluminous and Yakima are popular. I also recommend consulting your local metal fabricator to inquire about a custom fabricated locally made rack. If a conversion company is converting your van, talk to them about your roof rack options. They're great for storing gear and sitting on, but roof racks do add wind noise and can reduce your gas mileage, so those are a couple downsides to consider. Another item you might consider is a backup camera. Consider this an essential item if your van is long, and especially if you don't have rear windows. They're pretty inexpensive aftermarket, but can also be installed by your dealer or your conversion company. If you do a lot of off-roading, an air compressor is a valuable resource to have in your van. For example, when driving through sand, letting some air out of the tires provides more surface area to navigate otherwise tricky sections. But then you need to refill once you're back on the road. Having a compressor on board allows you to do this, and it makes it more feasible to tackle this type of terrain. Our compressor has also come in handy for topping off our bike tires. And when we were off the grid in southern Utah, our friend had a serious flat tire on her van, and we were able to use our compressor to blow up her tire enough so she could drive to our campsite where she could put on her spare. So a small compact compressor can also aid in recovery, and you can get one for less than $100. Another add-on you might consider is an in-dash GPS. At first, honestly, I didn't think this was necessary with my phone, but now I love having it. In this van, I replaced the entire factory stereo with an aftermarket one that has built-in GPS and Apple CarPlay. The navigation features work when we're out of phone service, although we still like to carry paper maps as well. It's much easier to navigate or change the music without having to look down at my phone. The new Sprinters I know do have a better dash system than the older ones, so if a Sprinter is your van of choice, maybe you'll find that it comes with a nice screen. If it doesn't, there are a ton of aftermarket products available. Just make sure that it will fit your van's make, model, and year. Awnings can be an awesome addition to your van. They create extra floor space like an outdoor patio and provide shade on a sunny day. However, most of them are not made to withstand high winds and heavy storms, so you need to be careful about having it set up in these conditions or it could get damaged. Most awnings attach either to above your sliding door or to the roof of your van. Installation is a little more involved if you don't have a roof rack, but it's still doable. The preferred awning styles for most vans are lightweight and easy to set up. They come in a few different lengths, so you can choose how big of an outdoor patio you'd like. Some even have wall attachments so you can screen in your added living space. Awnings can be electric, manually operated via crank handle, or set up with a pole and tie-down system. Electric awnings can be open and closed with the push of a button. And while most awnings can be added after the fact, if you want an electric awning that's wired to your battery system, you'll want to install this during your conversion. The advantage of an electric awning is many of them have wind sensors, and they will automatically close if the wind gets too strong. Manual ones don't have that feature, so you don't want to leave it open if there's any chance of a storm blowing through. Electric awnings are a little bit more expensive though, and they can be prone to motor burnout, so they're typically only found on premium options on RVs. Many companies make awnings, and I'll link to a few options in the resources section. Keep in mind your roof height when choosing an awning though. An awning that works for a Jeep or an E-Series Ford van might not work on a high roof Sprinter. Also, awnings can be pretty expensive. Some of them cost more than $1,500, which is why I don't have one. But you can find used, refurbished, or discounted ones if you're not in a hurry. You can even make one yourself using a tarp. If an awning addition isn't totally necessary, an easy up tent is a simple solution, but it will take up a lot of space inside the van when you're not using it. Another company called Dragonfly Tarps is another option, and they take a little bit more time to set up, but will be stable during storms. You can always add an awning later down the road unless you want an electric one, so if this isn't an urgent decision as some of the others in your conversion process. Another item to consider including in your van build are swivel seats. These are a great way to maximize the living space in your tiny home. Swivel seat adapters go between the seat and the base. They swivel the captain's chairs around from forward facing to backward facing, and suddenly your cockpit used for driving becomes an expanded living space. 2 more chairs in your living room, office, or dining room. I highly recommend them, especially if you'd like to be able to host people in your van. If you have a shorter van, you can use the swivel seats in lieu of a dining seating to save space. Just pop in a table in between the 2 seats. Most people hang a curtain behind the 2 front seats for privacy, but if you swivel, you won't be able to use the privacy curtain at the same time. So with that in mind, you'll want a curtain or window covering that covers the windshield and the 2 front windows. We prefer the ease of just hanging a curtain, so I'm happy we don't solely rely on our swivel seats as our main seating area in the van, but we do use them if we're going to be parked somewhere for a few days with friends, like at a festival. One thing to note is that adding a swivel seat adapter does increase the height of the driver and passenger seats, which affects the driver more than the passenger. There are several different companies that sell swivel seat adapters, and each of them varies in height, so it's a good idea to look into this before deciding which one is best for you and your van. Many vans, including the Sprinter, have a swivel seat option from the factory. However, if you choose to add swivel seats as an aftermarket, be sure to verify the exact make and model of your van so they'll fit. There are a couple of other add-ons you might consider for your van, like a ladder outside cargo boxes, or a bike rack. Think about how you'll be using your van on a day-to-day basis and what items are going to help.